This is the Intermission Podcast.
We want to get to know our homeboys and homegirls and invite you into our space.
It's a whole mood of positivity.
The Intermission Podcast.
We're taking a quick pause from our Men Are Trash series to have a conversation with our boys to get their perspective about brothers and the police. They'll be back next week to talk about their counterparts being trash. Or not. Welcome to our homeboys. First, we have our boy Knight, all the way from Paris, France.
Harry.
And our boy B-Fobs right here in LA with us.
Hey.
How y'all doing?
We're doing good, doing excellent.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Good as well.
Thanks so much for being here with us, you all.
As y'all saw in the last episode, hopefully you watched the last episode, we had sort of a social justice moment where we had to talk about what was going on in terms of the Ahmaud Arbery case and how that made us feel. The man who took the video has been arrested. I don't know if y'all saw his CNN interview. It was trash. His lawyer spoke for him the whole entire time and pretty much said that he's a hero for the video because we wouldn't know otherwise, and that pretty much he's kind of too dumb to speak for himself because he only had a high school education from down there, which isn't accounting for much. And when I was like, that was rude. That's your counsel? But okay. So he's been arrested. And then the police officer or the police chief in the Breonna Taylor case has retired early or officially resigned in Indianapolis. So, as a leader, he's off the streets as a, hero vigilante, whatever you want to call him. I mean, both of these people are off the streets. But it is kind of bittersweet that we had to wait 3 months for the man to be arrested in the Ahmaud Arbery case. And, for the Breonna Taylor case, this man he's retired. He wasn't fired. He was retired. So he sort of got to leave of his own choice, which, he's off the force, but it's like, it's not really 100% win. So it's a certain level of foolishness. Thoughts, feelings, etc. Everyone's face says it all, by the way. Like, ugh.
I'm happy they arrested Bowl Cut Billy.
Bowl cuts. It was
Billy.
Billy.
bowl cuts.
Very happy they arrested him.
Yeah.
Although it's taking some time. You know how I feel like about us having to fight for everything. But I'm very happy that he's arrested. The police chief resigning, I just feel like that's still just a slap on the wrist. Like, he should have been fired.
Yep.
But now the DA needs to be fired too in Ahmaud Arbery's case.
Yes.
He needs to be fired. So
I think there's a lot of hands in that case. But for William Roddy, that dude, Brian, I feel like, just like any other, if you ever hear these cases where, say, black dudes were involved in a robbery, the driver, if that robbery resulted in somebody's death, sometimes them drivers even get charged with murder because they were a party to a crime that led to someone's death.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they are not shy about charging black men in crimes amongst other black men that may have pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so and in that video was an act of God, his stupidity and God that it got out because he didn't put it out. It was another lawyer that was afraid. He said, this is what he said. He said he wanted to show that it wasn't a bunch of Confederate flag waving hillbillies that did this. So he put it out. It still don't make sense, but he put it out to show that it wasn't that, but then it come back to bite that dude in the butt, all of them, because so it's like me saying, hey, look, I did the video. I was gonna hide it, but it got out. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm a hero because it got out. Like, no, I'm a hero because I took it. No. You know what I mean? It's just, you're stupid. You got caught by your own actions.
Yep.
I think everybody need to go to jail. I feel like all of them. I don't care. I think
police department.
Thank you. That's exactly how I feel. Ones that came up into Breonna's house and shot her up, they need to go to jail. All right. The DA need to go to jail for the other case. All of them need to go to jail.
All of them.
You get to go home. You get to retire early. You better believe they still giving him money. Like,
Of course.
really? Like, no. All you just need one good clean swipe of all of them. Send them all to jail. That's how I feel.
Yep.
Oh,
Like you said, they would do it to us. If we were anything close to that, we would have our head on a stick. Therefore, they all need to go to jail.
Yep.
Facts. For the mod joint though, I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw that what we call him, Bowl Cut Billy now.
Bowl Cut Billy.
When I first saw that Bowl Cut Billy got arrested, I couldn't even really be happy because a part of me just like so used to the American justice system. I just feel that it's more of a symbolic arrest, right? And I don't even have confidence that a jury will even convict him. And so that's what I felt when I first saw it. I couldn't even be happy because I was like, yo, this dude still might get off, as much as I would not want that, but history shows us that that's going to be an uphill battle. That's going to be an uphill battle. Now, if it was reversed, of course we'd be under the jail, but for him, I can definitely see him getting off. And
well, the funny thing is, go ahead.
No, you can go.
Oh, the funny thing is, bro, is that until Sean King said something, when you watch the video, I've heard that William, whatever his name was, I forget it sometimes, William Roddy, whoever, he had a gun in the car that he was cooperating with. He was cooperating with the McMichaels. He's driving to box them in. But in the video, you can hear a gun clicking when they're pulling up on him and they're stopped, and you can hear a gun getting cocked. You know what I'm saying? So he was there, but the action happened in front of him, so he probably was stuck like a deer in headlights that it was going on, that it already escalated by the time he got to stop. But and that's going to be a hard thing to, prove. But if you heard a gun click before, you know that that's a gun being cocked, basically, the hammer being pulled back, basically.
Sure.
Yeah. Which is crazy. Which means you had intent to be right there with them shooting.
But let's see what jury they get to pick, is what he's saying, because you know how our justice system works.
Oh, for sure.
Let's see if they actually get someone that's actually going to try this, like for real, try this, and really want to hear the facts, because it should be easy in and out, but that's not how it's going to be.
Right.
Where they're at and the people that they're about to choose to be a part of that jury.
I don't know, because somehow any interaction, not even arrest, but any interaction Ahmaud had with police is going to have to somehow have something to do with this case. Like any interaction in 2015 or 2011, like I don't understand how you can try to bring up, when I stole gum off a teacher's desk.
Right.
and justify it, know what I'm saying? Justify it as how I got shot 3 years later by some white dudes as a good shoot or okay thing to do now.
Right.
Yeah. And it sounds like
they wasn't even cops.
Right.
Come on.
They weren't cops, and it's like it's almost like deja vu all over again. You know what I mean, with the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman case, which is why that was it was wrong on so many levels, but it was painful for us as a people, because we were like, if you set the precedence for this legally, then it sends the message out, it reverberates the message out that legally you could get away with doing this. Whether you feel threatened or, you bring up someone else's string of past, arrests or situations. Like we said, one doesn't equal the other. It's not like just because he's had run-ins with police earlier in his life doesn't mean he deserved to be gunned down like that. And it sounds like, the whole neighborhood was in on it. Sean King posted something the other day, like the whole neighborhood was watching him run through the neighborhood and sending each other text messages and really trying to keep up with him that way. So that's my dad's hometown, Brunswick, Georgia, which is a beautiful place. I pray for my cousins and the people that we know that still live there. But my dad has countless stories of craziness like this that's, still going on. And we just, we praying for that conviction. But I think to your point, Knight, like we've seen it before, so we wouldn't be surprised if we saw it again, which is quite devastating and really sucks if we just keeping it 100. Like, it's a horrible set of circumstances. So for us, we sort of poured out, how we felt about it last week as Black women, having to constantly see these situations and scenarios. Vaughn talked about being a mom of a Black boy and what that feels like, just, having a desire to be a mom and like really feeling like, she doesn't necessarily want to raise her kids in the States because it's like, yo, this is, if you're going to be a parent of a Black child in America, it's something you got to deal with. Like, it's just point blank period. So one of the things we kind of want to throw out to you all, being Black men from America, born and raised in America, seeing things like this repeatedly happen. Like, what are you all's thoughts and feelings about, the Ahmaud Arbery's, the Trayvon Martins of the world? Like, do you see yourself in these scenarios and situations? I mean, even this thing with Ahmaud now that they've gone out of their way to find tapes where he had run-ins with the law. Like, unfortunately, that's not a part of the Black male experience in America. So I don't know what you guys want to speak to that. If you have any thoughts and feelings, we just want to give y'all the platform to talk about it as Black men.
Sure. Mr. Knight, you want to go first, bro? Or
Yeah, I could go first on this one. For myself, I've had countless run-ins with the police, and to where the cops have told me they was gonna blow my mother effing brains out on my college campus, 2 guns to my head. So, or if it's with the LAPD, but I can't even count how many times, for real, like how many situations I could not be here right now, just with the police alone. Because the way I look, because how I'm dressed or whatever, just don't even got to be dressed on this way. Like I could be, in a cardigan, they still gonna approach me a certain way. So for me, it's like when I hear these things, I definitely can see myself in it, and that's one of the reasons why I don't live in the U.S. If I'm being 100, I now live in a place where, and don't get like, there's racism everywhere. Like, don't think that you're gonna live in a majority white country and not experience racism in some way or form. But I know at least out here in France, I don't walk down the street thinking that that the cops is about to kill me or somebody's randomly gonna come up to me and kill me. And that's in a weird way, that's a freedom. It's a weird freedom that comes with that. At one point I was living in Kenya and I met this woman who was from Kenya, and she was saying that she went to Yale in the US, this Kenyan girl. And she said that when she gets on the plane from Kenya to the US, that's when she has to put on her Blackness. Because when you just amongst your people, yeah, you just being. So like my past family's from Jamaica. So when I go to Jamaica, there's no, like, if I'm being harassed for other reasons, not for the color of my skin. But America, like for real, just for my own mental health, I'm a proponent of Marcus Garvey and leaving the U.S. And I know for some people it's a hard thing to fathom because this is what we know. But I compare it to an abusive relationship, and I would never give anybody the advice to stay in an abusive relationship. And people always ask me, do you miss home? Like, what about your family? I'm like, well, hopefully I'll get myself to a point to where, my family can be in a position to where they have options. Because this is getting crazy, and I don't necessarily see it getting better. Like, things get more concealed, but we've been doing this for how long? They just go about it in different ways. Maybe they get a little bit of progress, just a little bit, just make you feel that you doing something. But overall, it's for me, it's getting worse. And every day I see something, my heart breaks for everybody that's still out there, men and women.
Yeah. Real. And it's just funny because me and my brother Knight right here, we on kind of, I guess, 2 different ends of the spectrum in the same in the same country, but like because I grew up with police. You know, my father was a policeman, and a bunch of his friends are policemen, and still cousins of mine are police, and everything like that. I still see the racism that happens, and I still he recognizes all of us recognize it and see it. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I haven't had I've had, like, I can count on one hand the bad experiences I've had, probably two, and they're out here in California. But because, and I can say why, most likely is I grew up in a county, kind of like what you were saying, as far as like being away in a place like in Kenya. Me growing up in Prince George's County, Maryland, that's a black county, and it's like so basically I saw black folks policing black folks because I knew black police. You know what I mean? And so I saw black folks being black folks, as far as owning horses, owning land, owning houses, all this stuff. Then I went to Hampton University, and then still surrounded by black folks. So a lot of my life was policed and characterized by black people around me. Black culture, and black culture didn't mean just black culture, but black love. And so I didn't get to really experience too much out input from like white racism. We seen it, and we definitely, because my father, he was into quote unquote white activities. Like we would go motorcycle driving, we would go boating and all that stuff and everything like that. And he had a boat. Me and him worked on it, took people fishing and chartered and all that stuff. So we got there, but even they were being real cool with him. And so my opinion sometimes isn't necessarily a popular one, but I think that we black folks are playing a part in this as well sometimes, because what I say is they throw something on us and we take it and own it. So they throw criminalization on us, then we take it and own criminalization. We take our image, like from rap or from music or low morals. When they call us nigga, we turn around and own the word nigga. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we have to know what's ours and what's not ours sometimes, because as we start to own these images, we give them excuses to go all the way in saying that's who we are. You know what I mean? We give them excuses and going all the way and saying, oh, see, they're criminals. They even celebrate being criminals. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's not who we are. Then that's what I'm saying. When I grew up, I didn't see criminals. I saw landowners. I saw architects. I saw pilots. I saw them from Hampton. I saw people doing pilots and marine biology. So for me, growing up, not seeing criminals as black folks, I mean, I saw black folks. I saw people. People of many different interests, ilks, abilities, all that stuff. So I have a battle that I fight in this world where I don't use the word nigga like that. I don't like my black folks saying, nah, niggas don't do this, niggas don't. And not just about the word nigga, but you ain't gonna catch a black person doing that, or that's not black, or something like that. Cause it really irks me when we take on what they say. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they might say black folks don't swim. So now we like, oh, you ain't gonna catch them, they're in the pool. But where I came from, I didn't know that. Like, until I did this movie, I'm an actor. Until I did this movie called Pride, I honestly did not know there was a stereotype that black people couldn't swim. I didn't even know people thought that. I was like, where's this movie coming from with this? And then later on, I heard it was a popular notion, So I just say all that to say that when I say we play a part, their imaginations are evil on their own. But I'm saying when we kind of take hold of some of the stuff that we've seen that they've given us, the images of us, and now we take ownership, teach it to our children, play it with our kids, do all these things and let our kids see us do these things. I feel like we're reinforcing the lies that they told us. And so now we give them ammunition to shoot back at us off of their still evil imaginations, So I'm not exonerating nobody, but I'm saying that we shouldn't be playing into it either. It's like if you got an enemy and if you're fighting or something like that, You don't, if your enemy does grappling and you do striking or punching, you don't try to get down there and start grappling with them. You know what I mean? You stay in your mode and do your striking or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you fight, you stay in your lane, fight your race. Don't give up ground and start allowing yourself to be what they call you.
Interesting. That's an interesting perspective. It's almost like, for lack of a better term, like Brandon grew up in Wakanda, right? So it's like we don't have, like, colonization is not a thing. You know what I mean? Like, that person is a colonizer and we know that. But over here, this is what we do. So that influences your ideology of what, you know, blackness is. Like, the concept of blackness, you like, it's just, we just people. Like, that's just how we were living. Which also brings in, you know, and we did get historical last week too. So bringing that back in about, you know, segregation. Like, if you grow up, these are your people, this is who you grow up around, you don't know anything different until you come up against the opposition. So I think that does dictate your ideology and your perspective about certain things, which is quite interesting, to say the least.
It is just, I gotta say, because I still have been stopped by police plenty,
Right.
but
Yeah.
and this is I can't chalk it up to acting like I can't chalk it up to just like, oh, I know more than somebody else. But it's like, I guess maybe because I have police in my family, whatever, when I talk to them, they know what they're doing. Police know what they're doing. They're taking advantage of people, certain people. I can't say who, but I can't fully say it, but I can say they're taking advantage of certain people because I know the lingo of these people sometimes. Like, you know, I don't say, hey, yes sir, how you doing, sir? Or, you know, officer, no. I say, what's up, brother? What's going on? You know what I mean? So I'm starting to bring them into a human place. White, black. I say, what's up, brother? What's going on? Oh, I did that. You sure? I don't know if I did that, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm talking to you on a level, and I've had, like I said, 2 experiences where still they were goading with rudeness. They're trying to get me to
Get a reaction out of you.
Get a reaction, yeah. But I'm talking about these reactions when I say that we're fostering, like, even some of these basketball wives, where we're teaching our kids to respond with rage and emotion over little things sometimes. Or we're watching these shows that teach us to get emotional, mad, outbursts, like against what the Bible would even say, where it says, be, you know, slow to speak, slow to get angry, quick to listen, or quick to listen, slow to get angry, and slow to speak. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you hear and everything, but some of these shows, some of the things we watch, we ready to learn. Like, these things are feeding our subconscious, and then when we respond, it comes out, and now we're feeding their imaginations. Yeah. You know, because I follow a lot of different things. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk too long, but when I follow, because I look at weapons and stuff like that, guns, knives, swords. Y'all know I'll be doing that stuff, and everything like that, right? And when these white folks had these guns and stuff, they have imaginations that come with these things, and their imaginations are, I wish somebody would come up in my house. Somebody is code talk. Sometimes, you know what I mean? You know, because they hesitate to shoot another white person. You know what I mean? They'll hesitate, like that. Like, you see a white officers, white person, a white suspect can probably shoot at him once. If he shoots at him twice, they'll shoot him. But if he shoots at him once, brother, don't do that now. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they do not want to kill each other, but their imaginations are, if somebody comes in here, tries to rape my family, try to kill they say these wild things that's going on in their head. So the minute that they interact with a black person who shows some emotion, their imagination, you see them, they can't even reason. You know what I mean? Like, Brother Knight said, he could be in any kind of clothes, but their imagination just know he's black, and now's the time. It's happening. This person's confronting me. He might try to kill me. All of a sudden, we're somebody that's not capable of logic. You know what I mean? That because I seen them rationalize with some crazy people who are other colors. I saw a white man with a sword coming down the stairs at this black dude. At this white cop, and he backing up all the way until the brother was about 10 feet from him. Then he had to shoot. You know what I mean? But like, he came out on the stairs, came down the stairs, came forward to him, And he's like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And, you know, and then if it was a black man who came out and stepped 2 steps down the stairs, he'd have got shot on the stairs, you know? So I'm done.
So yeah, I think it's a matter of, because they see each other as human at the end of the day. I think to your point, you know, they've been indoctrinated, and they've been taught certain things about us as a people that, you know, feed that paranoia, that fear. And so, yeah. And if they've never been around any other black people, then, you know, if that's their norm, their base, that feeds into their actions and their paranoia. Like I said, we ain't trying to solve the world's problems. Like, we don't know how to change that for white people. You know what I mean? We challenged, you know, white allies and people of that persuasion last week. Like, you know, step it up, educate yourselves, ask questions, you know. But it does have to change. It definitely has to change in terms of them. When you see a black person, you should see as much of a human being as you see when you see a white person. Knight, you look like you got something you want to add.
I'm thinking about the criminality standpoint, right? That Brandon was saying, because I know my own story, and I know my own history, and I know things that I've done and things that I haven't done. But sometimes, you hear a lot, like, and I hear you, like, you know, sometimes, like you said, like, you wasn't around no criminals, like, so, like, you had a black perspective, but I also don't want to act like that's not a perspective. Because if we could, like, criminality comes from a place typically of poverty. So if you look at socioeconomics, like, so I don't want, like, a lot of times we talk about our experiences, and the issue is that people fetishize our experiences. That's what I tend to find. I don't think that people, they fetishize our experiences, right? It becomes entertainment for them. And a lot of times we see that as a way to come out of something. And like Hov said, we ain't thugs for the sake of being thugs. Nobody do that where we do that, nigga, duh. The poverty line, we not above, so I come to mask and gloves, so we ain't them love. And for me, like, I look at this as a spectrum, like, because we a spectrum. We got billionaires, and we got people all the way below the poverty line. And I think that each situation is just as valued. And, you know, as much as I'm not the one fetishizing my experiences or people's that I know experiences. It's capitalism that's doing that, and they know that they could take advantage of that. And, you know, and of course, like, you're gonna if you just speaking your experience, somebody gonna pay you to talk about it. Like, bro, I'm not going. I get it. I just don't want to sit here and, like, blame black people for that. And one thing, I had a conversation with a black cop before. And he said, you know, what you brothers got to do is you got to understand that cops is in a position to where they making quick decisions. They you know, so you got to, you know, be really careful, because they making quick decisions, life or death decisions for themselves. So they don't know a lot of times, like, if this is a good guy or a bad guy. I said, bro, I hear you. I understand that. But I also understand that being black, I don't got time to decide whether you a good cop or a bad cop, because my life is also on the line. So now where we at? And, you know, so that's like, and so I think it's not a thing of whether or not, you know, I don't like when people say, oh, if you just walk around with your pants pulled up, things will be better. Like, that's like, that's not where we at. Because we see that no matter what, you can be in running shoes and, you know, a Nike sweatsuit, you know what I'm saying? You could be at home chilling. It don't matter. And it don't matter. Like, I feel they always gonna make an excuse. And I just feel that criminality is now the new excuse that white supremacy makes, because they made criminals, they criminalized us after they abolished slavery, and they needed a way to re-enslave us. Mm-hmm. And so once I understand that history, and they know that if they keep us in a certain socioeconomic situation, then people gonna have to do what they gotta do in a world of capitalism. And that was just like one of the pieces. Like, I just want to share that piece. Like, I try to stay away from blaming. Like, I'm gonna talk about my experience all the time, and, like, in my past, not saying I currently do things or nothing like that, but in my past, I know that I've done criminal things, And I done it out of a sense of desperation. Not because I wanted to or because I listened to a song, but I just know that sometimes like I wanted to eat or I felt my back was against the wall. That's it on that point.
And I totally I get it because I grew up, when you mentioned Yale, I was like, woo woo, New Haven. I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, which has a vast spectrum of Black folk. It has low poverty to, you know, professors at Yale or wherever, you know, architects, all that. And so I too grew up in the area where I saw very affluent Black people, but I also saw very low poverty Black people. And you can see the difference in how they were accustomed to living and how they were accustomed to surviving. So with a lot of the Black men in New Haven, they always said, like, you know, if a Black man in New Haven goes to college, it was such a great thing. Even though Yale is literally in the middle of New Haven, it wasn't common or even thought of for Black folks to even go to Yale. Like one of my good friends in high school ended up going there, but it was just like, oh my gosh, like it was such a shock because they weren't used to Black kids from the inner city being smart. They weren't used to Black kids from the inner city. There was either the boys are going to be in jail or they're going to be dead. The girls are going to be pregnant. They're going to be, you know, baby mamas or whatever it's going to be. Like those were the stereotypes. Like even now, when I meet someone from Connecticut, they're like, and they say, "Are you from Connecticut?" And I say, "Yeah, I'm from New Haven." It's like
oh, yeah.
Oh, like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like this slight, like, oh, okay, New Haven, mm-hmm. You know, but New Haven has some of the wealthiest people, you know what I mean? Some of the wealthiest Black folk, white folk, and I come from a very mixed, diverse family. Like, I have everything under the rainbow is in my family, you know what I mean? But I know how Black people are treated. Like, even though I saw and I did two very what people used to call like white activities, I saw how they treated Black men in New Haven. I saw how my homeboys got treated by cops. I saw how my classmates got treated in society, period, and how the world just never thought that they would amount to anything. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful that I went to schools where they pushed us to be better. I had white teachers who, one of my English teachers, she's Miss Kirkwood, I love her to death. She used to every morning teach us like a big word. Like I have a extensive vocabulary because of her, because she was like, I never want you all to be in a room where someone says something purposely and they think you don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? And she made it her point to make sure we knew certain words. She was like, I don't want y'all. She's like, they're not used to smart Black kids. Even when I got pregnant at 16 and I went to a high school where most of the kids were Black or Spanish at the school. And when I got there, I was learning, they were teaching them primary colors and how to structure sentences. And I was like, wow. Hey, I have AP classes I need to take, you know, and I used to go and get my AP work, and then because I was like, I'm a senior, I'm not primary colors. What y'all really teach? But that's what they expected of someone who got pregnant at 16. You know what I mean? And when I went and told her like the work they were giving me, she was like, they're not used to having smart students there. Like that's what they do. So I would still get my regular work from my school and do it because I was like, I'm gonna go to college with, you know what I mean? Like this last 6 months are gonna be crazy. But that was the expectation, even though New Haven is known for Yale and known to, you know, be this big art city. Like we're a real big art city. The Black people in that city are still looked at as less than, even though they have some of the best and brightest students and people that come from there. So
yeah, I mean, so much to unpack. I mean, it's historic. We're not a monolithic people. We have our experiences, but we also have systemic racism. Like we know that this particular country, you know, we built it, but it wasn't built for us. So we have to like, you know, navigate through all these things. We have redlining. We have, you know, the poverty line. Like it's so many layers and situations. And so all we try to do on this platform is, sort of give our listeners and people who may not be familiar with this experience a chance to hear from the people who are living the experience. But again, we always try to encourage, the white folks that want to do better, that want to be better, that want to change things. A lot of this, the ball is really in you all's court. Speak to those family members, still have those racist tendencies that, say those crazy things at holiday dinners and things like, to really just be that change and start small. Like I said, it's bigger than all of us that are on this phone call. It's been going on longer than we've been here. My father is, 69 years old and left Brunswick 40 years ago. And now we have this situation that's ever present. Like, it's like something from the Jim Crow era that we're still dealing with in 2020. So, we're not trying to be Debbie Downers. We're just trying to keep it 100 about what the situation is and, give you all varying perspectives. So please share it. Have these hard conversations. Have Black friends, have white friends, ask each other hard questions. And, hopefully we can make some real progress and some real change. Not that cute stuff that people have given us before, but really try to make a lasting change and impact in this country in particular. And if not, y'all can go to Paris, France, right? Belize has my heart. You know what I mean? Listen.
That's funny you said Belize and Paris, France, because my boy, he moved out to France too. This is my dude named Kamal Robinson. He was a director out here, but he moved out to France. Same night, kind of the same reasons you did too, bro. He was kind of tired of the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wear you out.
So yeah, I mean, you got to do what's best for you and your people. You know what I mean? And do 6 months here, 6 months there. But I do think tonight's point, there's a freedom that comes with not having to think about all this stuff all the time. And whether you are a Black person or a Black person, like we thinking about this stuff all the time because we have to as a means of survival.
We'd love to hear from our homies, so feel free to email us at intermissionhg, as in homegirls, that's intermissionhg@gmail.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at intermissionhg. Until next time, this has been A Break with Your Homegirl.